Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday, November 7th council meeting. Call the meeting to order. Moved by Sam McDonnell, second by Stephanie Jaworski. Be it resolved that the November 7th meeting, council meeting of the Township of South Glengarry be opened at 7:01 p.m. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. And I'll ask everyone to rise for the playing of our national anthem. Alrighty. Moving on to item 3, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or amendments? Madam Deputy Clerk.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. The following items have been requested to be moved from the consent agenda to items for consideration. That items being 9A, the 2022 election communication summary, 9F, more homes built faster letter, and 9K, the Environment Committee letter to South Glengarry Council.
Alrighty, perfect. Moved by Rebecca Luck, second by Sam McDonnell. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry approve the agenda as amended.
Well, just a point of order. I don't know, I didn't hear it called, but I thought I pulled something. I don't know if, was it pulled?
Is that the item, the infrastructure projects?
Yes.
Under, so that will be addressed in, because it's already under items for consideration?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll read the resolution again. Moved by Rebecca Luck, second by Sam McDonnell. Be resolved that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. Approval of the minutes of the October 17th meeting. Moved by Martin Lang, second by Rebecca Luck. Be it resolved that the October 17th council minutes be adopted as circulated. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. And moving on, presentations and delegations. There are none this evening. And right along to action requests. 7A, extinguish Summerstown Wharf as a CBSA designated reporting site. Ms. Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Your mic.
Thank you. So I tried to do the best I could to provide as much information as possible in the report, because I'm not sure if anybody on council was surprised to find out that our Summerstown Wharf was a designated reporting site for CBSA, but I know I certainly was when I received the call. So we worked with one CBSA employee who was able to provide us with some really good background information and statistics about the designation. You'll see in my report that there's been the site's been fairly inactive over the years. Even pre-COVID, if we use 2018 as example with one vessel with 2 passengers, in 2019, there was no vessels or passengers that have arrived. It hasn't been an active site. So what I understood is that any non-Canadian resident can arrive at this site and expect to be screened by the Canadian Border Services Agency, and they could call in and report themselves. And you can probably see that knowing the facility, we don't have a lot to offer on that site for CBSA employees to really do their job well. There's no phone service, there's no building for questioning. We definitely would maybe have some safety concerns for access. There's no parking, no exterior lighting, things like that. So in listening to what would be required to bring this site up to standard, we assumed that it would probably be quite costly. Also, in finding out that we have marinas in our municipality that service this site, being Rogers Marina, Grace Creek Marina, Raisin River Marina, and also the City of Cornwall's Marina 200, there's a lot of options for non-residents to arrive at different sites that are very close by. So you'll see in the report that we are recommending that we would have permission from council to request with the Canadian Border Services Agency to extinguish, and that's the term that they use, the Somerstown's Wharf designated reporting site, so that we're not obligated to make the investments required to bring the site up to standard. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you very much for that report, Ms. Haley. Are there any questions of council? All right, seeing none, moved by Martin Lang, second by Stephanie Jaworski. Be it resolved that staff report 171-2022 be received, and that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry direct administration to file a request with the Canadian Border Services Agency to extinguish the Somerstown Wharf designated reporting site. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. And moving on to item 7B, design and upgrade of streetlight network award. Ms. McDonald and CAO Mills.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through you. I think it's fitting that since the last meeting of this council that we get to this report. I'm sure Councillor McDonough will agree. The report tonight's design and upgrade of the streetlight network award, specifically the LED lights that we own now through Cornwall Electric. 5 years ago in 2017, we converted the Ontario Hydro streetlights to LED and resulted in significant savings. And we've been working hard to get this done through Cornwall Electric. We're almost there. It'll be in the next term of council, but hopefully decided tonight through the RFP. Council will remember at the beginning of August that we entered in, you authorized us to enter into an agreement with Cornwall Electric. And I'm happy to report that we have received 3 proposals for the conversion of the lights, and it's come in considerably under budget. You'll see the 3 estimates there from Black & McDonald, Earth Corporation, or EarthCore, and Real-Term Energy. Administration is recommending that we accept Real-Term. The proposals are turnkey, and the conversion will take place hopefully by not too far into 2023. You'll note there's a $60,000 difference between what we had estimated and what we received. Just a small change from talking to the treasurer today. We have a $47,000 reserve in the Cornwall Electric line, so we're going to use that and then ask for council's permission to use $115,000 from general reserves. And then, of course, we'll get that back over time and then make some adjustments. So it's a win for the township right off the bat, but also for our taxpayers because it'll come back quicker.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for the report. Are there any questions of council? Councillor McDonald, keep it to a minute.
I have nothing to be upset about, so just the fact that it took this long, so I'm glad to see and all the work that went into this. Thank you, CAO Mills, for all your hard work on this and all the rest of the staff that worked on this. It's good to see because this is direct savings to people in the township. If everybody who has has a streetlight benefits and pays for it, and at the end of the day, this can save them a lot of money just in repairs, let alone the operating costs. So thank you very much for your diligent work on this.
And thank you very much to staff also.
Great. Councillor Lang and then Deputy Mayor Jaworski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. Just a question. Is there a timeline for them to finish, or is it, do we award this and, you know, is there any end date?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, from real term, it was to be, if we awarded it by October 31st, it was hopefully by the end of March 2023, so into April, that would be what we would push for, but ASAP.
I just wanted to make sure it didn't run on for a year or two, you know, like, so they're committed to doing it shortly.
Good. Deputy Mayor Jaworski.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Warden, in reading this and preparing, I went back to the November 2020 staff report that we'd received on that, when staff had indicated the estimated cost for conversion would be $289,000. So seeing it come in at 162, I thought that was just something that was merited highlighting again, even though CO Mills, it came in well under budget. I figured the amount was important to highlight, and I'm in favor of using reserve funds to fund it, and then that the reserve funds be paid back with the savings, and then once that's paid back, then the new lower operating costs are what the residents will pay. So, looking forward to that getting to them as quickly as possible.
Sounds good. Seeing no other comments, moved by Sam McDonnell, second by Stephanie Jaworski. Be it resolved that staff report 172-2022 be received and that council award RFP 26-2022 to Real Term Energy for $162,078, and furthermore that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign all relevant documents. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. And moving right along here, moving on to 8A, road widening dedications, public highways. Ms. McDonald.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Warden. This is a housekeeping item again. It is a bylaw to dedicate land from First Line Road and Canyon Road 18 as public road. Gonna be honest, this is my first time doing one of these staff reports, and I'm not entirely sure what to say. It's pretty self-explanatory. We've included maps this time, so you folks know where these widenings are located, and if there are any questions, I will muddle through some answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your report. Are there any questions or comments of council members? Seeing none, moved by Rebecca Luck, second by Sam McDonnell. Be it resolved that staff report 173-2022 be received, and that bylaw 74-2022 being a bylaw to accept certain lands as road allowances within the township and to dedicate same to the public use as public highway be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council the 7th day of November 2022. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. And we're moving on to item 8B, to constitute and appoint a committee of adjustment. Ms. Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So our recent election has resulted in the need to create this bylaw to be able to move forward if we have any new committee of adjustment applications or minor variance applications that come in. Our current committee of adjustment has been appointed annually, and our term of council is expiring very shortly. And so I believe it's possible that we may have a minor variance application filed by the end of this week or the beginning of next week. And if that's the case, to keep the process rolling and to keep within the timelines of the Planning Act, I wanted to have a new committee of adjustment to be ready to go on November 21st. You'll see in my staff report that there's language that talks about appointing the committee annually. So we have made sure that the bylaw meets the Planning Act requirements. I understand that the new council is willing to continue as the Committee of Adjustment. So with the passing of this bylaw, it will come into effect on November 15th of 2022, which would be following the inauguration of our new council. So thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? I have to say that the committee as council worked really well this term. It wasn't that way the previous term, so I'm glad to see that that's going to continue on. I thought it was very effective. Moved by Martin Lang, second by Rebecca Luck. Be it resolved that staff report 174-2022 be received and that bylaw 75-2022 being a bylaw to constitute and appoint all members of council to the Committee of Adjustment for the Township of South Glengarry for the remainder of the year 2022 and for the year of 2023 be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council the 7th day of November 2022. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. All righty, moving on to the consent portion of the agenda. I have 9A circled here, election communications summary. I'm not sure who requested it. Deputy Mayor Jaworski.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Warden. First of all, I just wanted to thank all the staff that were involved in all these efforts for everything that they did to get the word out. Although we didn't break 50, you know, we were almost 42%, and that was well above the provincial average of 34%. So I think that's definitely something to be proud of. So thank you to everyone who was involved. Thank you. One thing I wanted to mention, though, just think a thought for the future. I guess it's more to leave a thought for the future. Is the township. Most of it, there was a lot on the electronic side, and then there was a lot on the in-person, like at the fairs. But one thing I'd like to council or the township to think about for the future is how to make running for council perhaps more attainable for more folks, and how to get their message out in a easier way. I know one thing, a lot of folks still rely on printed material, a lot of residents, they like that. And when you're trying to get that printed material out to residents, it's actually fairly difficult as, go through Canada Post. If you're using neighborhood mail, they don't isolate who's actually a South Glengarry resident or not, so it can lead to folks who are not in the area getting information they don't want, or vice versa. So I just would like to leave it that perhaps there's a way that the township can assist with that, getting out that paper information to residents in a targeted way, and that the township does do direct mailing to residents, and that maybe there's a way of like pooling information as a package out to residents, both to make it more efficient, more affordable, for more folks to be able to get that message out, because that's what's really important for folks to be informed, to be able to make their decisions. So I just want to leave that as a comment. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. I too second the Rockstar team that we had. Our deputy clerk here, Kelly, our clerk, and I believe Michelle and a few others were involved. I heard nothing but positive feedback from everybody that attended the voter center. So well done, and good. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, 9F. Letter, More Homes Built Faster, from Minister Clark. Deputy Mayor Jaworski.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Warden. And so the reason I pulled this is certainly there's a lot of discussion about it in the media, but for myself trying to get informed, there's still like a lack of information. But so I gave Ms. Haley a heads up that I was going to have this question, but I understand that she's in a similar position to us in terms of like the situation is still evolving and information is still coming. So I guess I'm looking to Ms. Haley for an understanding of when do we think we can get information? Because at some point, it would be, if we know we have concerns, or if we don't have concerns, we need to be able to provide feedback, and it's such a short time frame with the new council coming in. I think it's important to try and get those timelines out if we have any, sense of what they might be. Thank you.
Ms. Haley.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, this new legislation is definitely interesting, resulting in changes to many different legislations. And the ones that impact us the most would be the Conservation Authority Act, the Development Charges Act, the Ontario Heritage Act, the Ontario Land Tribunal Act, and then, of course, the Ontario Planning Act. I think there's still a lot to learn in regards to the changes that are proposed to conservation authorities and that legislation, and we certainly will rely on our conservation authority partners to help us better understand what the impact will be, not only to them, but also to our individual residents and developments and things like that. It is my understanding that it could mean permit exemptions in order to maybe cut the red tape or fast-track developments. Some of the items that I've read, I think, have been skewed a little bit in the media, where there's been this perception that, oh, we can now develop in provincially significant wetlands and things like that. And I think some of that's been taken out of context. Again, we're going to learn more as we move forward. We also have been taught about proposed changes to the Development Charges Act and really geared around affordable housing or nonprofit housing. Currently, South Glengarry doesn't have a development charges bylaw. And I'm very familiar with some other bylaws in our area, as well as maybe more Ottawa area, and it's not uncommon for municipalities to already exempt development charges for affordable housing. So this really isn't a new concept, it's now just legislated. But if we ever are in a position someday in the future to complete a background study and adopt a development charges bylaw, we'll be subject to the new rules. Also learning with the Ontario Land Tribunal that they could be able to dismiss an appeal. A chairman from that tribunal could dismiss an appeal if they felt it was frivolous. Again, I believe the goal for that is to cut the red tape, to prevent people from maybe appealing just for not in my backyard type thing. And the chairmans will also be given the opportunity to award costs. So what that means is in their opinion, if they feel the appeal may be frivolous, they could then ask the developer to cover all the costs and the municipality's costs during an appeal process. And that is a big significant change. Currently, when you're before the Ontario Land Tribunal for an appeal, the lawyers will often maybe request chairmen to consider awarding costs because they felt it was frivolous. It was very rare for that to happen. So it'll be interesting to see if that will actually happen moving forward. Also, it looks like there's going to be limiting third-party appeals for zoning amendments, minor variances, and consent. So I'm anxious to learn more about that. We just had our public meetings this evening for a committee of adjustment and then for proposed zoning amendments. And if we don't have appeal periods, that would then remove 20 days from the process right away. Decisions of councils would be binding. Again, I need to learn more to truly understand how that process is going to lay out. I think one of the biggest changes to South Glengarry is going to be our waterfront development and redevelopment. We currently have site plan control processes on single-family residential lots. And that was something that our council put in place in 2010. And the reason for that was we were receiving an abundance amount of phone calls regarding grading and drainage issues. And especially with the replacement of septic systems, there was a period of years where the systems or the beds were made to be much higher. That technology has seemed to change, but that was creating a lot of grading and drainage issues. So our previous councils looked for tools to mitigate that. And if that means, what I'm reading is we can't have site plan control for developments of 10 residential units or less. So it'll be interesting to see how we're going to be able to capture some of those grading and drainage issues. And maybe we don't, but in speaking with lawyers from Cunningham Swan last week, we had an opportunity to be at a training session. There was comments made that, well, maybe we'll be looking at development agreements that's still permitted under the Municipal Act to capture areas of concern for councils. Again, that needs to be explored further. Also, quite a few changes to parkland dedication and parkland fees. We probably won't experience a lot of those changes just because of the nature of development that happens in our community, but again, more to learn. And then lastly, the number of units. So currently we're allowed to have 2 units per parcel of property. That means it could be 2 single detached, it could be a single detached and a unit within a single detached home or a unit within a detached structure. And with bringing in 3, it is my understanding, again, from what I read and from what we were recently taught, is that they still have to meet the zoning standards. So they still have to prove that they can be serviced. They have to be able to meet setbacks, lot coverages, and things like that. So it might not be, a significant change. I think there's going to be some property owners that will take advantage of it. Some may not. It's not easy to finance, a property with 2 or 3 homes on it, and finding lenders for that. And not everybody can afford to build 2 or 3 homes on one property. So I'm not sure what the uptake will be. We haven't had a lot of uptake on the 2 units per property. So we might not see it. And this may be more of a need in more of the urban areas of the province. So that's kind of what I know in a nutshell. And obviously I need to learn more, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of information sent our way. You can currently comment on the proposed changes on the Environmental Bill of Rights, and I believe those comments are open, or the ability to comment is open until November 24th. So it's not a long time. I've also, heard through the grapevine that they're proposing to pass this very quickly, and that they expect this bill to become law before they break for the Christmas holidays, whether that's hearsay or not, but it's possible that that could happen. And then we'll see a new provincial policy statement probably early of 2023. So that's all I have to explain at this point.
Okay, great. You have a subsequent, Councillor McDonnell?
I was just gonna say, to my knowledge, on the 3-unit, it was to be included within the existing residence, as well as the option of what they call a garden or laneway home. But it's, to my knowledge, it's within, it's not to promote multiple dwellings on a property. I think it's to promote multiple options within a residential dwelling, as far as not having to go for a zoning amendment for a basement apartment, or converting a garage into a 1-bedroom kind of bachelor. So that was more or less, to my knowledge, that's what they were kind of looking at. But that's just kind of what I've seen going through that bill, because when I saw it, I as well was intrigued, so I went through it as well, but that's what I've pulled out of it.
Okay, thank you. Did you have a subsequent, Deputy Mayor? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Lang?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Conservation authorities have some serious questions with it, quite concerned about it, as far as maybe possibly limiting or freezing our development fees, and then depending on how long that happens, that we want to make sure that we at least have cost recovery. Not allowing us to work with the municipalities to, outside of natural hazards, we wouldn't be able to, conservation authorities, and I say we, I'm just speaking for the conservation authorities right now, wouldn't be able to comment. So some of the comments we received tonight, you might not receive anymore from the conservation authorities. So then are the municipalities then going to have to hire somebody to do this, or is Joanne going to have another person on staff to make some of these comments, to assess some of these issues that are going to be still out there? So I think you'll see something in the next couple of days. They're preparing a letter to be sent to the province, and I'm thinking it might come by local councils, to be signed by mayors and so forth, to be endorsed. So we'll see, but the tricky part, and Joanne kind of said, is they kind of give you an overview, but until you have the actual regulations, you don't know what some of these things are going to entail exactly. Yeah. So it's a little worrisome, but I know where they're trying to go. I just worry that maybe they're looking at the GTA and some of the issues they have there, and it maybe doesn't fit the whole province. I just hope that they're not hitting the whole province with something that isn't suitable for the rest of us, but okay. We'll find out.
Great comments. Deputy Mayor Jaworski?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Warden. So would it be fair, Ms. Haley, to ask that, at the next council meeting, that if there's more clarity that you bring, again, I'm concerned that if there is something that we should provide comment on, that window for us to be able to provide comment is, going to disappear pretty quickly, and I just feel that it sounds like some of these are quite major. So would it be fair to ask to have, if there is more clarity, that you could bring it, you could, speak to this issue again at the next council meeting, just so that if we can take advantage of the opportunity to comment if it's necessary?
Sure, through you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to have something on the November 21st agenda. I don't know how comprehensive it's going to be. Obviously, all the planners in SDNG have been talking. We speak on a regular basis, whether it's a quick email or phone call, or maybe even a message of some sort. And I believe that the county planner was hoping to have something on the agenda for December. We're going to have to see how much more information is kind of rolled out to us, or maybe I just need to set more time aside just to delve into it. But that means my report's due a week from today, basically. a week from tomorrow at noon hour to be exact, if I meet the deadline, which isn't common. But we'll see what'll happen in the next week, and I'll see. There's been some law firms that have come out with some decent summaries. So there's information out there. I think it just means just spending more time to truly understand what's proposed and what the impact is.
Yep. We
Thanks.
got lots of time.
If this draft that I received today is finalized by the conservation authorities, I'll send it to you. It'll give you something, but likely it'll be circulated through the municipalities anyway. And then the tricky part is, like, it's 21st, like, it's our next meeting by the time the comments have to be in, is it not? 24th? It doesn't give us a lot of time. It's almost as if this was planned during the window between elections and the new councils being sworn in, so there's not going to be a lot of comments because councils aren't up and running yet. So anyway, hopefully that's not what they're up to. But
Good. Good discussion, and there's lots coming down the pipeline, so. Thanks for bringing that forward. Is there any other questions of council on that? Alrighty, moving on to item 9K, Environment Committee Letter to Council. Deputy Mayor Jaworski.
Me again. Thank you, through you, Mayor Warden. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to bring this forward to make sure that I can, like, publicly at council acknowledge the Environment Committee that I've had the pleasure of chairing. It's been a very active committee, and I thought it was worthwhile, a good news story to talk a bit about what we, let council know what we had been doing, and also to, highlight to council sort of a summary of all the things that have moved forward on the famous 2012 waste recycling strategy report that kind of stagnated for a while, and now we have many things that we can check off that have been done. So I thought this was a good opportunity to share that. And the Environment Committee obviously feels in some part that we had a role to play in that as well, and some of the feedback and recommendations that we provided to council. And so at our last meeting, we again went back through the 2012 strategy report, and just wanted to leave council with a few comments on that, and have that documented so that for the future. And, maybe just, folks can read it if they want to go into the details, but just, things that come up at the committee a lot is, they really hope to promote backyard composting, or really, now move that focus to organics, on how can we reduce organics to the landfill. And backyard composting is one. Not many, I'm the only member on the committee who had a food cycler, so there's not a lot of, feeling for how that helps, but definitely in the backyard composting, they're all very pro backyard composting. So they'd like to see, a great program that encourages, like, subsidies towards promoting that. Another item too that we talked about was enhancing the township's public space waste diversion and recycling program. Like, how can we use the recycling bins that we have within township facilities? How can we use that as an educational opportunity to make sure that it helps explain to people or reinforce, what kind of recycling, what can be recycled in the township, and how to make it easy. And also when we partner with groups like Williamstown Fair, other groups where we do have in-kind services for recycling and waste, what can we do to encourage better diversion strategies at those events? One suggestion was, should we have bins that they could use during these events that, are to have more recycling bins on site, to encourage that, or sponsoring water filling stations at events where there's typically a lot of water bottles and plastic bottle waste. So yeah, those are kind of the main ones I wanted to highlight. Some of the other ones are more standard that folks can read at their leisure. But just in conclusion, I guess I just want again to thank the members of the committee who were Colleen Bissonnette, Aidan McDonnell, Michael Madden, and Angela Parker, and also the staff resources who assisted us, Crystal Lebrun and Sarah McDonald. So yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to that, and thank the members in the council meeting.
Great. Thank you for those comments, Deputy Mayor Jaworski. I will say that this committee has come a long way on my time, and very happy with the results that you guys have done this past term, and it's good for everyone. So are there any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none. We are moved by Martin Lang, second by Rebecca Luck. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry accept the consent agenda. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. So that basically concludes the first part of our meeting tonight. We're just about to go into... I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I jumped ahead here. My apologies. Okay, moving on to 10A, Infrastructure Projects Update, November 22. Ms. McDonald, my apologies.
No problem, and through you. Sorry, through you, Mayor Warden. This is just a quick update. Is it me? Sorry, to council. A quick update to council. Better. On the infrastructure projects that we've completed this year, I broke them down by construction, planning, design, engineering, and studies, which are kind of distinct buckets. The only real changes, and I'm open to questions, if anyone has questions or other comments. This was also an opportunity for council to say a few words about everything that's been accomplished in the past 12 months, let's say. The only changes would be on the First Line Road culvert replacement, which is number maybe 7 on the first table. It was open today, so Fidelity Construction and Engineering Limited completed their work in record time, I'd say, 3.5 weeks. So First Line Road north of Concession 5 is now open to traffic, and that was about 7 days earlier than anticipated. Another notable one would be Cemetery Road and North Branch Road pulverizing and base improvements. I wanted to tie this back in. I didn't bring the paper here, but to the presentation that EVB gave to council in September of 2021, when they had a slide that noted how much base improvements would cost in advance of, I'm so sorry for this feedback, in advance of surface treatment. They'd estimated, I believe it was $27,000 per kilometer, and we did 5.3 kilometers, and it cost us roughly $140,000 to pulverize and improve the base, so that's no surface improvements, but that is in line with what was expected by EVB, so it's nice to see some of our estimates are coming in kind of on par, since I know in our bridge work where our estimates seem to be incredibly low. And I wasn't entirely sure if council was aware of all of the, I guess, planning and engineering and study work that we've done this year. I know construction is very visible, you see it, we talk about it, big bucks. It does get approved through council, but a lot of our smaller studies, administration approves on our own through the procurement policy. So this is our really quick update, and any questions or comments, I would be happy to listen or receive. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for your report, Ms. McDonald. Councillor McDonnell.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if Stephanie pulled this. I know I asked for it as well. I just had a comment. I appreciate that, and I'm very happy to hear that the First Line Road is open as well. There'll be a lot of happy people with that one. I guess just one thing. I don't think it's most people read our council agendas as the Joe Public, so maybe for our communication staff, if we can, put some of our anticipated opening dates open for some of these. I know it seems to be a topic of conversation everywhere I go, whether it was the Glen Road or Glenroy Road or any one of the First Line Road in 2 spots. So no, just if there's a chance we can maybe publicize some of this and kind of get these achievements, especially the Fidelity one, out that it is open well ahead of schedule, would be great. And thank you for your hard work on this.
Perfect. Deputy Mayor Jaworski and then Councillor Lang.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Warden. I wanted to thank Ms. McDonald for putting this together. I know when I was going through the past of our term, trying to figure out what was done and not done was nowhere near as straightforward as it should be. And so seeing this gives me hope for the future in terms of knowing what's been done, just having a really nice, concise view of the past. And also what's listed on our website now, the link there that was at the top of the report. I think that's fantastic. like, I mean, obviously probably be tweaked as it goes forward, but again, like that's been, you know, a hope of mine is just to have more transparency for residents about what's upcoming, you know, that there's a clear plan as opposed to folks thinking that they just need to keep complaining for years on end for something to happen. Now there's a much, you know, it's a clearer, we have a plan. So I wanted to say thank you for what's on the public website and this report. And I'm going to do a slight tangent, but Ms. McDonald knows I'm going to do this, is that one thing I'd like to be considered perhaps for the future is when a lot of these involved communications to residents directly. You know, they would receive a letter in the mail that, you know, this work was going to be happening. And I would like to propose that council receive copies of those notifications. I know on a few of these, I had residents contact me. They know me, so it was just, you know, and I was, I felt I was a bit in the dark on exactly what they were referring to and when. So I think it would be helpful to council to be, you know, have the same communications that those residents are receiving for these kinds of projects. But no, again, this is a good news story. Thank you very much.
Councillor Lang?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. I'm going to echo that. I won't go on too long because I think it's great we're getting this information. I think it's great that this is going to be available to the public. And they see, like, we had some tough roads this year, but we are getting a lot done, I think, and I think we need to keep this up. So I noticed Glen, looked like the Glen Road is open as of, well, they were using it on the weekend, but I don't know if the signs were down, but they seem to be down now. But they're still not picked up, though. They just tipped them over, so you might want to talk to them. Especially for us in the combines, is we need that whole shoulder to drive.
Really? All right. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to 10B, Service Line Warranties of Canada, Contract Expiration. Ms. McDonald.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Warden. This is going back 4 years, 4 years to 2018, so before my time. However, I provided the link in my staff report to when it was approved by council that the township enter into, it's got a marketing agreement with Service Line Warranties of Canada. There is a little drawing that's included with the package to kind of explain what it was doing or what was covered through Service Line Warranties. So if a resident wanted to warranty their private service lines, so it would be between their home and where we pick up. So on the sanitary side, the customer is responsible all the way to our main, and on the water side, it's to the curb stop or the property boundary. So right now, if anything happens in either of those two dark blue areas on that picture, it is up to the homeowner to repair them, and that is per bylaw 49, 2016. And this is very common in municipalities. Like this is kind of the standard. So service line warranties, if the customer pays in, it's like insurance. They will warranty and repair the pipe should they break if it falls under their policy. The marketing agreement is that Service Line Warranties throws a Southland Area logo on everything. Our agreement has expired. There's a bit of information in here about how many homes got on board, and we just wanted to make sure that council is okay with the expiration of the agreement and that you didn't want us to pursue entering into a new agreement. Administration recommends not, but if you'd like, we can come back with a staff report and an agreement.
All right, thank you for your report. I remember when this came in, there was a lot of negative comments that the township's logo was used and that it was kind of implied that, you know, some people felt it was implied that they should take this product. And there hasn't been hardly any uptake, so anyways, I think you're in line with the way it should go. Deputy Mayor Jaworski.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Warden. Yeah, I mean, this was something that came before this term of council that was already in the works. And in the reading I did about where this is being used in other places, it's not, I don't view this as something that's really a big value that we're offering to our residents by doing this. So I'm not, I mean, I'm fine with it expiring. However, and this is another tangential comment, it brings me to, I mean, a lot of the comments that I read online in other municipalities or the negatives against this is that, you know, homeowners could already get this coverage through their insurance. But it's the issue is that most people are unaware that this is, you know, that where that line is, who owns what. And so, I mean, if we ever get around to updating our water bills, I would suggest that this might be a nice little footnote to have on the water bills saying that, you know, I mean, so that people have this information about where their responsibility and their ownership lies. So I would suggest that, again, it's about information, and that I'm fine with it expiring, but I would like for that information to be communicated to the residents, because I think a lot of people don't realize the situation, and they wouldn't know to ask their insurance to include it in their policy. Thanks.
Very good comments. Any other questions? All righty. Thank you very much for your reports, Mrs. McDonald. So now this concludes the first part of our this evening's agenda. I do apologize for that mistake earlier. And this concludes the formal part of this term. It went by really fast. So I'm going to open the floor up to any comments of members of council if they'd like to say a few words. Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. It did go by fast. 4 years, maybe because we were very busy. and lots of things to experience, you know, right from good in-person meetings in the old hall to Zoom meetings to being in the new hall here now. I've enjoyed it. It was busier than people led me to believe when I ran the first time, but I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed working with everyone here. Enjoyed working with the staff. I think we've accomplished some good things the last 4 years, so thank you, everybody.
Yep, well said. Yeah, Deputy Mayor Jaworski.
Thank you. Through Mayor Warden, yeah, echoing what Councillor Lang has said, it did go by very quickly, and I think, you know, we had a lot of curveballs thrown at us. I mean, obviously, I don't think any of us thought we were signing up to do council during a pandemic, or to have a resignation on council. But I think, you know, I think that's one of the things we can really be proud of as a group, is that we were always very much focused on the work and getting things done. And I think we can be very proud of what we've accomplished. And a lot of files that were stagnant have moved ahead or have been closed. And there's been a lot of transformation at the township. We've had, you know, great staff folks retire, quite a number of them, and now there's a whole bunch of new folks at the township. So it was wonderful to work with those previous and now the new folks. And so thank you to staff, and thank you to all the council members. I have really appreciated the experience. It did go by fast. I'm glad that we were, again, able to focus on the work, and even when we have disagreements, we're able to keep moving to do good work for the township. And thank you very much, Rebecca, for joining us. Your voice on council, I've very much appreciated your professional knowledge, your perspective. So thank you for that. And thank you to you, Mayor Warden, for your leadership. You know, we're thrust in a position that perhaps you didn't, I don't think you anticipated, and I think you very much rose to the occasion. So thank you for your leadership. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you. Councillor McDonnell.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I guess I'll echo a lot of the same sentiments. It has gone by very quick, but yeah, we've gotten a lot accomplished, and I think what's made it go by so quick is that we focused on the work, and when we met some interesting and unique trials and tribulations unique to this council, we persevered through them, and we, you know, pulled up our socks. Yourself very much included in that, stepping up and taking the mayor's chair. And yes, thank you to Rebecca for being a very good seatmate and not hitting me at any point in the meeting yet. So, no, I guess thank you to the rest of council as well. And it's been a pleasure working with all of you as well as staff, even with the turnover we've had and the changes. And staff looks very different compared to our first council meeting, but I think it's all for the best, and it's a great step forward. I think we've had a very successful 4 years, and yeah, just thank you to yourself, especially for the leadership you gave us, coming through some difficult times and some interesting ones on top of that. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Luck.
Thank you to you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not so good at these, so I'll try and keep it very brief. It definitely has been an interesting term, and I want to thank you guys foremost for bringing me in to this experience. It has been humbling to see the amount of work and effort that goes into everything that the township does, you know, from every single individual. I want to thank the staff. You guys make the township. You guys, I've never felt, you know, stupid asking silly questions, and you guys have always been readily there, you know, holding my hand, trying to get me up to speed. And so just thank you to you guys, everyone.
Thanks for those words. 8 years goes by fast. Being the most senior member of council years at the table, I've certainly enjoyed my time here. You learn a lot. From day one, you learn. Every day you learn. And I know that today being my last day, this township is better off than it was when I started. And I thank everybody for everything, and staff, especially staff. You guys are amazing, and we have seen a lot of turnover. And I'm thinking, I mean, the first term, I think there was 6 or 7 that retired, and we've had just about the same this time. So it's a totally different township from when I started, and it's in better hands. So it's been a blast. Moving on, moved by Stephanie Jaworski, second by Martin Lang.
Point
Be
of order.
resolved.
I think the CAO wanted to speak.
Oh, I didn't even see you there. Sorry, Timmy. Go ahead, Mr. CAO.
Before you move on through you, Mr. Mayor, so on behalf of staff and administration, I want to thank this council for their care, commitment, service, and dedication the past 4 years. We've alluded to many things on the agenda this evening that were 4 years ago, and all of a sudden it's gone by. As the CAO, when I go out and about, I often get many questions and comments. How is it to work in municipal, and what type of pressure you get from council? So to be honest, certainly there is a lot of pressure at times, and asks, and sometimes some disagreements, but we always have worked through that as a council, and I'm certainly proud to say that anytime there was a disagreement, we came to a win-win or a yes-yes, even though it was difficult with some of them. I want to thank Councillor Luck and Mayor Warden. The recent election has resulted now in change around the table. But with change comes opportunity, so I wish you well with the opportunities that are ahead of you. You have busy lives with your families and busy lives with your careers. And just don't forget about us, because at times we're going to need your guidance and support, maybe as constituents. But not as many asks, okay? So that being said, we do have a gift for you, Councillor Luck and Mayor Warren, that we'd like to present you now. And then you can do what you need to do. Okay?
All righty. I think I can read this resolution now. Thanks for everybody being patient tonight. Moved by Stephanie Jaworski, seconded by Martin Lang. Be it resolved that the council convene to close session at 7:54 p.m. to discuss the following items under section 239(2) of the Municipal Act. 2, a meeting or part of a meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered is C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. We'll see you on the other side. right now? Okay, and welcome back to the final session of this November 7th council meeting. Moved by Sam McDonnell, second by Stephanie Jaworski. Be it resolved that the council rise and reconvene at 9:11 PM into open session without reporting. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Moved by Rebecca Luck, second by Sam McDonnell. Be it resolved that the council direct administration to carry out all actions as specified in the closed session minutes. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Moved by Rebecca Luck, second by Sam McDonnell. Be it resolved that bylaw 76-2022, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council the 7th day of November 2022. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. And moved by Martin Lang, second by Rebecca Luck, be it resolved that the council of the township of South Glengarry adjourn to the call of the chair at 9:12 PM. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Have a great evening. Mayor Warden out.